Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 187th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by the amazing Spider-Man Defense Force, Jaden.
Howdy.
You almost finished your smoothie now? Is that how long we debated the AI question?
Yeah, it's nearly gone.
Oh, God. All right. And, of course, PTA's number one fanboy, a.k.a. John Cena, a.k.a. Fitzy, a.k.a. Liam.
Yo.
What's up with this? You didn't put Cena as your name in the Zencaster.
Oh, yeah, it gave me the option to change it.
Oh. So you took it.
So unfortunately, I'm just boring. Liam. Yeah.
Liam. Yeah.
It'll be Ricky's to Nicky soon, though, but, you know.
I think this spells the end of the John Cena nickname then.
No, it's good. That's good.
I don't know if you have a choice in the matter now, but anyway.
Oh, shit.
Zencaster has thrown it out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is Society of the Snow, which was uploaded to Netflix on January 4th, 2024. It was directed by J.A. Bayona. You might want to say that with a bit more flair if I was Spanish, but, you get me instead. It is a survival drama, and the synopsis says, the flight of a rugby team crashes on a glacier in the Andes. The few passengers who survive the crash find themselves in one of the world's toughest environments to survive. They sure did. All right. Now, Jane, I'm going to go to you first because I need to ask you, did you manage to watch this movie?
No, I've come into this blind. I'm just here for the chat.
You going to pull a Mexican?
Yeah, I watched it, yeah. I just finished it late last night, so I couldn't be fucked logging it.
Yeah, gotcha. How'd you feel?
Look, like I'm not a big survival movie guy. You know, I was going into this, I wasn't really expecting to like it much. And to my surprise, like coming out of it, I found that I didn't like it at all. I was completely right about my tastes.
Set us up.
Yep. Like survival movies to me, they're always miserable experiences because of how like much you emphasize how miserable these people are, and like I'm just like, it's too much. I don't care. But I do care too much as well. You know, it's one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
They're not movies that I particularly partake in specifically. You know, and this one was just like it just wasn't a good experience all around because like for one, I don't like the whole premise and setup. And then two, I don't like any of the characters because they're all just Argentine boys with long hair. Sorry, Uruguayan boys with long hair that I can't remember the names of. You know, they all sound the same, look the same, do the same. They're all tough and they do what they must for the team. Like, yeah, I don't care. Like the most interesting part is in like the last 40 minutes where like they actually start to like go expedition out. Like the whole we need people like that wasn't interesting to me. Like it's only once they start venturing out that like I was actually like, oh, okay, this is fine. But the whole like hour and 20 that you're stuck in the fucking plane, I'm like, oh god. I had another point to make. Wait, let me think for a second.
Well, I've plenty of time to make points, but I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I guess it would disrupt the flow if you wait for this. We can move on.
Yeah, podcasting skill. We'll get back to it. I thought this film was solid. So it sounds like I did like it a bit more than Jaden. Probably mainly because of the cannibalism, to be honest. But by the sounds of that, yeah, I do agree in the sense that, like, for me, the extended sequences when they're sort of just doing survival, it definitely slows down for me. There wasn't a ton going on to keep me hooked in large portions of this movie, which, feels almost disrespectful to say for this real event because, regardless of those engagement levels for me, I'm just being honest about them as well. But the film does do a great job at conveying, as best as it can, what it was like to be stuck out there in the Andes and the details of what made that hellish experience what it was. Because there were moments throughout where it was like, I thought, I can't believe these people had to go through this, and there were certain standout moments of that. So, mission accomplished there. And it did make me feel the weight of that at times, which whenever it did, it stood out. And there's a few things we'll talk about there. But overall, I do sort of agree with you, Jan, in that, like, there is, like, I don't know, 40 minutes of this movie I could have just, like, fast forwarded through,
When the credits started 15 minutes before the end time, I fucking cheered. I was like, thank God there's 15 minutes of credits on this. I don't have to actually sit through 2 hours and 25. It's only 2 hours and 10.
That was pretty daunting, actually. I'm not going to lie. The
Yeah.
225. Yeah. Fitzy, what the hell did you think?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty brutal, pretty frightening at times. Some of the actual sequences where the tragedy kind of increases those were really awesome. I do agree with the story outline being kind of just hard to make into a movie because they're in this inhospitable environment for over 2 hours where they can't really make any kind of dramatic development or like go anywhere or do anything. So yeah, I do get being bored by that, but I just enjoyed how pure it was, I guess, as a survival film. Like there's no cheapened drama or anything that feels like exploitative of the actual event. So it felt very respectful to the victims, I guess you call them, the survivors. And
Definitely.
it was just, I don't know, yeah, it kept my attention the whole time. There was, as I said, I just think it was impressive how they kind of made the story interesting, despite how little, how much downtime you kind of have in that plane and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought just technically it was a great film. The directing was pretty awesome. The kind of, when they give him a sense of like claustrophobia and like madness, that's when the directing is like at its peak. And it just feels like they're like bitterly cold. They captured that perfectly. So yeah,
They did.
I enjoyed it.
They did. Yeah.
Although enjoyed is like maybe not a good word for it. But.
Yeah. No, we know what you mean. Yeah, that is interesting thinking about like the actual event and the limitations of the environment as like a limitation on them being able to, tell this story in an interesting way. And no, but that is a really good point. They maintained the integrity, I guess, of the situation throughout, and they managed to still, like really hone in and on the survival aspect and still make it. I know, like I was with Jaden, like I said, where it got a bit boring for me at times, but it is, I guess, when you present it like that, it is a limitation. And compared to what could have been done otherwise, like I still thought a lot of the shots of the environment were gorgeous, and you can tell. I don't know where they shot this thing, but a lot of it felt really, really grand and on location. And some of like the scope of the Andes and stuff they captured really well. So I'm glad they managed to sort of do justice to it in that sense. So that was all good stuff. For me, like the film sort of had two main strengths that really worked for me. One of which I know Fitzy's going to agree with is definitely like when you talked about like the ratcheting up of sort of the disaster aspects. For me, it is how they shoot, edit, and especially how they design the sound of any time something really sort of drastic happens to them. There's sort of two main points, but the first one is, of course, like that incredible crash sequence. It was definitely the best scene in the movie, I thought, when the plane actually gets fucked.
Yeah.
They did not pull any punches, went for the realism. The way that plane came apart was insane. And you see the way it just, the result of it, the way they just end up in this piece of metal that's flying through the air. Like, and you sort of see it all happen, like how it would happen. You know what I mean? Like, there felt no movie cheapness. There was no, character going unconscious and cutting away or just relying on explosions or, shit like that. You literally see it for what it is. The plane fucking came apart in the air and then it fucking torpedoed, and that's horrifying. So seeing that happen, flying through the air, bodies hitting the roof and getting squashed, like and all the chairs folded sort of domino style.
Crushing all the ankles or whatever. That was
the ankle
brutal.
snapping.
That
was fucking gnarly. Yeah. So that was definitely, I thought, the best scene in the movie. I'm glad. Like, how did you react to that, Jane? Because that for me, like, I was sort of just like, oh yeah, I mean, this plane's going to crash in a minute. Cool. And then like that shit happened, and my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah, it was quite decent. Kind of a, I don't know, Final Destination-ish in its like way that it shows its violence, I guess. I mean, I don't want to say like my favorite scene in the movie was like fucking 40 boys getting brutally fucking.
I feel like we've just got to let's just get over this hump now before we start talking about how cool it was when they ate people.
Mm. Yeah, it was decent. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Those. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned the ankles, Fizzy. God, that shit was insane.
Yeah. No, I didn't expect them to, go in the kind of gruesome direction. It was shocking as it was, just like having Numa at the back being like one of the last seats that's still actually on the plane, and everyone else just the way they kind of fall off is good too. Like, it's not they're not like sucked out like it's like something from an action film or something. They just kind of fall out. Like they do move backwards a bit, but it's just kind of realistic how they portray it, I guess.
100%.
While you
that shit was. Sorry, yeah, go for it.
Sorry, while you mentioned that name, it's just reminded me that's one name that I actually do remember. I think one of the best choices the film makes is choosing a narrator that dies, because I think that's like the most unexpected thing they could have done. So like,
did you have any inkling that he was gonna die? I for sure thought he was gonna survive. Like when he said he wanted to dance again, I thought the last scene of this film was like him older and dancing.
Yeah. Well, I just thought like by like traditional standards that your narrator's going to live to the end. So having him die was definitely like a great element of the film. A great choice. Yes, I can only commend that aspect.
I 100% agree. I was shocked by that, to be honest. When the reveal that like our narrator the whole time's like sort of been dead and is sort of like some, I don't know, otherworldly sort of like spirit sort of talking to us about it was really cool. The way it's set up at the start, I was sort of surprised. I thought it was quite clever actually. Like the first scene of the movie being like those sweeping shot of the Andes, but you don't see the plane. I feel like the typical thing you would do is like have like the plane already be crashed and like show some glimpses into like the horrifying nature of what they're doing at the start. And then the narrator comes in and explains, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, this guy's going to end up surviving this. You know what I mean? Instead, it's like you do that, you have the narrator sort of do the typical thing, but you don't show the plane or anything like that. So you don't already have a visual understanding of what you're going to end up seeing later, which then makes the impact more shocking later. But then, yeah, it counteracts the expectation that this guy's going to make it.
Yeah.
So I agree. Apparently, part of that choice was to sort of the same thing they did, which I really liked as well, which we already talked about a bit of sort of the respect for the victims. That choice I read in the trivia combined with the choice to, how they always they show sort of the characters die one by one, but then every victim gets like a little name on the screen and how old they were.
Yeah.
All that was very obviously intentional, but really just to emphasize the loss of human life, because I think I read that the director, like when he spoke to like the main, I want to get his name right. One of the main survivors.
You got 16 chances.
Carlitos Payas, I think was his name, or Pays, whatever. Like the director spoke to him about it, and because there have been film adaptations of this before, is one thing I learned. Yeah. One with Ethan Hawke playing a Uruguayan man. I had no idea about that until I read the trivia. So, with that in mind, like this Carlitos dude who survived, what he wanted to emphasize was like, which is totally understandable given that he went through it, was like more respect and attention paid to the people who didn't make it, as opposed to sort of just the horrific situation and then the survivors kind of thing. So I think they nailed that in sort of having the ages come up and everything. That was quite respectful. And then also like that, the narrator choice was part of that as well. They want you to sort of really, with understanding that the film is narrated by someone who doesn't make it sort of puts this whole layer on top of it of like feeling the weight of sort of the loss of it, I guess, of like, you know, as opposed to someone who lived kind of thing, you know, it's a bit more generic. So
Yeah.
clever.
Quite literally gives a voice to the dead.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. I guess what were some of the other key aspects that stood out to you, Fitzy, when you mentioned like the way the film confronts sort of the frightening aspects? Like one that stood out to me. There's another one we'll get to later, but like another one was sort of the aftermath of the crash on day one, like that freezing first night with everyone screaming and all the injured. And again, realistic thing. I feel like often like Hollywood would do something where it's like, oh, they all have to go and make a fire now, or some shit like that. Instead, like, no, they're fucking traumatized as shit. Half of them are like half dead, and they're just going to sit there and sort of scream, And that was pretty confronting, but stood out to me as well.
No, yeah, I just love the claustrophobia and like this, just the sounds in the like the recovery sequences, I guess. Like, when they get kind of buried in the kind of rubble of the plane for the first time, they have to like get through all the all the chairs and shit that's in the way, and it's like it's just complete chaos, and it's not centered on anything. So that was great, and like that reminds me of like when they're getting people out of the snow from the avalanche as well, and like the sound of I listened to this with headphones on because it was late at night, or earpieces, and it was really like it had like a thick texture to it, the way they kind of punched through the snow and stuff. So the sound in those sequences was awesome. But yeah, when they recovered, like when they're trying to recover from those big moments, that was like really strong and like quick and just chaotic, and yeah, that was good.
Absolutely. I would have gone out of my way to listen to this with headphones if I had sort of thought about it, because that definitely would have been awesome. That avalanche was sort of the other main one. It was the definitely obviously the crane crash number, the crane, what? The plane crash. That was number one. And then the snow avalanche crashing through the windows was number two, right behind. And that was nuts. That was a jaw drop. That was even like, obviously I'm waiting for the plane to crash, and that was insane. But this one was sort of the more out of nowhere, because there was no way to see that coming.
Yeah.
So this movie is like, when it did that, like I knew, okay, this movie executes moments of like truly like sudden impact really well. It just like totally changed like the whole stakes of everything like in 3 seconds. Jane, you watched it last night. I was only the night before, so I should also know. But did the snow came through the windows? Were there 2 avalanches? So they were all buried.
Yeah.
Did 2 things happen in a row quickly in succession? Because they're all having a good time laughing.
Yeah, the fuselage started shaking twice, I think. And like that, like both times it signaled something bad happening.
Right.
What was it though?
There were two. So like the first time they're clapping for Numa, and I initially thought like they were vibrating the plane or something, and they were like bringing the thing, the snow on top of the plane down. But no, I think that was an avalanche. And then, when they kind of recover from it, half the ship is filled with snow, and half the people have already died. But then on the other side, it completely fills them over, and that's when they get trapped.
Yes.
And buried. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I got confused about that. I sort of thought like, was there just one big moment where they got buried? But there was something before it. Yeah, that was insane. I can't believe that. I don't know. Like, I don't know. How do you not just quit at this shit? You know what I mean? I would honestly, with what I was talking about earlier with day one, like the state everyone was in then already, I would just quit. I don't know how. I can't imagine like the psychological strain it takes to have to survive as long as you can with no end in sight. You know, like genuinely, like someone may come out and rescue you at any time, sure, but like also never. And it's just that being in that situation, just not knowing. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. Seriously.
Yeah, you see, like, had I survived the crash, I would have died day one anyway because I wouldn't have bothered fucking waiting around because I was like, it's fucking stupid. Just try to walk somewhere and just died of exposure straight away.
Right. Okay. So it would have been, but like, would it have been your steadfast, determinism to get out of there that would have killed you, or are you saying that is that like your way of quitting?
I don't know if it'd be quitting, but like, I just wouldn't. I don't understand the choice to stay so much, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I get you.
which obviously ends up being smart because you can gather all your shit and not just leave in a panic and die straight away. But I also would have called it quits to cannibalism. Actually, like if put me in a situation, put me in a situation. Let's see how it works out. But I don't know. That's another interesting question.
We'll definitely get to that question, but before we do, quickly, the other sort of milestone in this for me is when they learn that through the radio that they've given up the search for them. So let's say if you were to survive, let's say if you didn't walk into the snow day one, like you apparently would, if you were to hang there for 10 days, understanding that you're being looked for because there's choppers going over and whatever was going on, the planes were going over, so you're being searched for. Surely that gives you a little bit of enough determination to stay for a few days. But then how does that change when you learn they're not looking for you anymore? Because I think that might there's like 5 moments that could break you, and like that might break me.
Yeah.
Isn't that before the avalanche as well?
Yes.
Yeah, that was early days. Yeah.
I think there was I think there was a month before the avalanche. Something it was weeks before.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I don't even know how. Like, I also can't believe they gave up after 10 days. I know
It's
they
the
had the
70s,
reason for the.
Like what more could you do in the 70s?
Yes, that was so devastating when like they realized that they couldn't see them. Like they literally were flying overhead and just can't see them. Which I still don't really understand, by the way.
I don't know. It's just a deep mountain, I guess. Deep mountainous range. But
sorry, you go for it.
No, you go. No, that's fine.
Oh, I was saying, that scene where they sort of climb up the mountain a bit and then they look back and realize they can't be seen.
Yeah.
Like what exactly was that? Like what exactly were they looking at?
It's just a white plane. It's a white plane in fucking snow. It's just hard to see.
They couldn't see.
Didn't they have like a clear view?
Sorry?
Didn't they have like a clear view?
Yeah, but the white blends in with the white.
But the plane that stands out, no?
Not from a distance.
Because it was just hard because like there are so many establishing shots of the plane from a distance where it's easily viewable.
Right. That does confuse it a bit, but yeah, it's invisible in the snow.
Yeah. I mean, the film definitely establishes that. I was just confused by. But yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah, all right. Let's stop beating around the bush here and get to maybe the topic we've been waiting to discuss most on the show in its 4 years, and that is cannibalism. Jaden clearly can't wait. So, okay. For me, like in all seriousness, like this subject is a really strong conflict in the film, and is like the second main thing that elevates the film for me, as a debate kind of thing. Because when they have that first debate about whether or not to eat the bodies, it raises so many, and the way it evolves is interesting too throughout the film. But like from the starting point, whether you would eat another person to survive, okay, that's like base level question, right? It's like, okay, level 1. And then it just keeps going. So then it's like, okay, but you know the person, right? Or in a lot of cases, they're your friend or your family or whatever. It's like, oh shit, this changes it. And then when it gets to where I think it's Numa who faces the question when they tell him Like, look, you have a chance of surviving because he was holding out and not eating. You have a chance of surviving because we're going to go on this walk, but you have no chance of surviving this if you don't eat, which makes perfect sense. So it's like, I wouldn't eat a person, wouldn't eat my mate, but it's now like my own. Like, there's actually, obviously, we understand like eating to survive, but there's actually a tangible, at least, idea of a goal of like, if we make it here, we might make it, and in order to make it there, which we're going to attempt, I need to eat. It's like, it sort of puts it all out in front of you. It's not this vague thing anymore of just like trying to hold out. So to me, that sort of complicated it even further, where it's like, oh, if it's that clear, could you,
Zach, you
eat a finger?
rationalize that real quick. You're definitely out there eating someone.
Well, I was going to say I'm a hard no. I'm like Numa. Wait, so did Numa cave and eat? Or was that?
Yeah.
Because I thought he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, look, the other thing is like, obviously, fucking hindsight's 2020. But like, if it was only like how long did it take for them to trek out of there?
Like 10 days or something.
10 days. So if the body can go
like a week.
Yeah.
If the body can go 3 weeks without food, then surely you take all the food that you gathered from the start, and then you go on your 10-day trek from the start, and that way you don't have to sit out there for 70 days.
Yeah, but like you said, hindsight 2020, because they thought they were going to be rescued by a plane on day 6.
Yeah.
But then
after day 10, would you not just start going anyway?
They also made the point that if you're walking, you need more food, like physical exertion.
Yes.
They couldn't go day 10 because the snow was really thick. They had to wait for it to glaze over. Yeah.
They were fucked in all directions, Jaden.
Anyway,
I genuinely found this pretty fascinating in the movie. So I don't know, like, Jan, you sort of already indicated it didn't interest you, and I'm curious about that.
No, like not at all. Like it like genuinely, I was bored for the vast majority of this film.
But but you didn't find the way it broached the topic.
No.
No. Eating another person.
No. I thought it was actually quite boring in terms of cannibalism standards.
Maybe. So hang on. Genuine question. Have you seen other films discuss cannibalism like seriously?
Well, they don't discuss it seriously, but I've seen cannibalism in films before. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Sure, but like discuss it seriously, because I feel like this film discusses it seriously and it's quite interesting.
Not discuss it seriously. I don't think so. But like, I just don't think it was a.
Because you like horror films where they eat people, it doesn't count.
No, but there's that one Family Guy episode where they crash in the snow. So
Oh, it's probably based on this. Okay. All right.
No, like I don't know, like the ethics of it. Sure, you can make whatever you want, but like I just didn't care for it. Like I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what I wanted to tell you.
It didn't pickle your onion.
No.
There's some pun to be made there about eating a hand or some shit. I don't know. How did you feel about its role in the story, Fitzy? And like to the extent to which they focused on that real life aspect of it, and also potential bonus question. You don't have to answer, but would you eat me? You'd have my permission, by the way, because that's very important in the film as well. Another ethical standard, Jaden, as I'm sure you noticed, of the cannibal discussion is that giving permission to eat me. So,
yeah, no, I like the way that was. I like the way they discussed it. They had a little round table discussion in the plane. Yeah, I don't know how much further they could have gone into discussing it. Really, they kind of just brought up every angle on whatever that you could interpret it from. So, no, it was solid stuff, I guess. Yeah,
almost every angle. How do you feel about this idea? So another part of that the film sort of chose to ignore, which I read in the trivia, that happened in real life as it would, and I actually thought about as I was watching it, like the extent to which you would consider how you would be received if you're rescued. knowing like you tell everyone, yeah, we survived by eating each other.
Hmm.
And how the public would feel about that. Because in real life, the film ignores this by going for which I'm not, I respect the choice, by just having a sort of a relief sort of ending. But sort of what happened after that was there was a lot of scrutiny around. They tried to keep it a secret, basically, and made up a story about how they had food rations and stuff. But then it sort of came out a bit, and then the survivors had to have a press conference where they addressed it, which sounds terrifying in its own very unique way. So I thought that was sort of a conversation the film might have had, but I also understand it might take away from the whole survival experience.
Well, they had that conversation implicitly when they're talking about whether it's legal, whether it's, what people will think and all that. And they kind of came into a voiceless agreement, I guess. But they could have gone into it, but then it would have been that could have cheapened it a bit. That could have been like a dramatic, element that might have taken away, I guess. Because then you have like two people on different sides of the debate, and they're like, having their Hollywood moment, kind of. So
yeah, that's a good point. That is that's what you brought up. Of glad that they avoided in the movie. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I get that. But another aspect of it was like,
but what will people think, Numa? What? Oh no, they're saying in Spanish. Que paso?
Beautiful Spanish. But like the other aspect is that like the whole anonymous eating, in terms of like they had the dudes to cut up the bodies for a while, and no one knew like sort of who it was, and it was just like, here's some meat kind of thing, and they tried to sort of create that barrier. So that was interesting when they were caved in. That couldn't happen anymore. Like they literally like had to cut up the bodies and like hear the sounds of the meat being prepared right next to you, and who it is. So, and I think one of the characters at one point tries to make the argument, like encouraging them to eat. Doesn't he say something like, "Oh, it's just meat. Like you don't know. It doesn't matter who it is. You don't have to know who it is," kind of thing. But it's just like, I don't know. That would almost. I don't know. It wouldn't make it worse because it would be the worst if you can literally picture the person you're eating. That would be the worst. But you still know it's one of 10 people, right? That you knew. So it's like, instead you're just picturing like it's one of these 10 faces that you'd just be flashing before your eyes as you're consuming them. So I feel like that's not really a helpful argument, personally. It's still incredibly off-putting knowing that you're still eating someone you knew,
Yeah, and you're probably eating their ass as well, because as in flesh, like flesh showed us, that's where a lot of the fat on the human body is.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about that. They didn't bring that up.
Well, no one gets sick from eating it either. Like that's uncooked meat as well. Like no one gets.
They cooked it, right?
Did they cook it? How'd they cook it?
They had to have cooked it. Fuck off. They didn't cook it.
They had like fucking 7 lighters between the 16 of them. Like, and you're not exactly cooking meat using fucking lighters. Like, how'd they cook it?
No, that is a good point, because I don't think they really showed that, right?
But yeah, not really.
Like that.
There's no way they had that shit raw. There's no way. Well, they wouldn't have survived.
But I think they did. But then that brings up the question: how did none of them fucking die of sickness?
No, they must have cooked it and just not shown it. Surely.
But then, if you can cook, then you can make fire.
If
you make fire, it can be warm. Like
that is true. They don't really sit around a fire.
Yeah. Well, you can't really keep it going for.
Unless they had a fucking transportable fucking butane stovetop with them somehow in one of the suitcases.
I think that was invented like 30 years later.
Was it?
Oh, yeah, I got no idea, but like, I don't know the technology evolution of barbecues, but goddamn. Anyway, I thought it was interesting, but I can tell you guys are over it, so that's fine. I wouldn't want to eat your ass, just so you know. Anyway.
The thing is, so you would eat, like not even put like I think put in that situation the answer would be different, but like just sitting here thinking about it, you would eat.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, okay, so
no, yeah, again, like I can't honestly tell you that I never would. right? Because I just think that's disingenuous for me to say when I'm not in the position.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever would. That's all I can say.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Nah, you can see the look in his eyes. He's fucking hungry, mate.
That's what all. That's what all the boys would have thought. All the Uruguayans.
That is true. Yeah, no, that's different. Obviously, yeah, 100%.
Oh, I liked how they like that how they show that opening scene of Roberto, like not passing the ball, and then you thought they kind of subverted this as well. Like they subverted the narration guy being dead in that, but also they subverted the idea that Roberto was going to be like some selfish guy who took all the food or something, and he's actually one of the guys that like goes out and finds people so that they can get help. It was about his legs and his running, not his the selfish his selfishness, which is it's usually the opposite, but it focuses on the physical thing rather than the moral thing that it looks like it's pointing out, but not really.
Sure. See, to me that sounds really good, but that's where like Jaden's first point about like all the characters just sort of look the same happened, because I just didn't like know who that was.
Yeah.
To be honest.
But I did like that they all just were like top blokes. I did like that. So.
Okay, yeah, that's fair that you think they're indistinguishable from one another, but they literally show him and then they flash back to him.
They do, yeah, they do.
Running through the fucking in the soccer game or whatever, the rugby game.
I remember that. But the problem was like I couldn't track who that person was throughout the film, if that makes sense.
There was
I couldn't.
There was one or two
arc.
guys that looked like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one or two small guys that look like him. So
maybe one or two more than that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think the Strouch brothers are the only ones that looked different. I feel because they were kind of more fairer in their appearance, and they had like the little beards they had. So like
Fito.
Yeah, I don't remember their names, but I think I know who you're talking about.
They're the ones that cut the meat.
Who's that? Fito's face. Fito is a distinctive face.
There was that. Was one of these people that were talking about like the blonde sort of guy? He stood out.
Also, the old guy stood out because he was old.
Because he was old, yeah. That's true.
Old by 34, I mean.
Did you think Numa? I thought Numa looked like Adam Driver a bit.
Yeah,
half of them looked like Adam Driver a bit.
I agree with both of you. Yeah.
Wait, so was Numa the one that after the crash, his like face was all puffed up from the blood, or was that someone else?
No. I thought that was someone else.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they're all a little like that, but
no, I know who you're talking about. There was one that was standing out like that.
Yeah,
I don't
with
think
his sister. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was the Giga Chat guy. That was the guy that made them walk. One of the two guys that walked all the way to to Chile.
Right. Yeah. Dude, when they arrived in Chile, like that was so. You mentioned your interest picked up, Jane, when they started like sort of venturing out.
Yeah. For me personally, like when they arrived in Chile and that horseman found them, like just seeing green in this film was actually like shockingly incredible for me. I was like, I felt my engagement jump up like 3 times just by seeing a color that was green. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, that's not a shot at the movie at all. Like, I think that's part of the effect. I thought it was cool. Yeah. So like all that rescue sequence, I mean, it all plays out how you'd expect, but I just thought it was quite the way it was all cathartically sort of happened was quite a relief. Just with that scene, I don't understand why he was drinking downstream from where his mate was throwing up into the river. That was a bit.
Like they cared, Jaden, at this point. Like, come on.
It's such a simple.
Like they care about the quality of the water.
It's such a simple thing to fucking fix up. Your mate's throwing up 10 meters that way, then go 10 meters up from him, not down from him. Fucking hell, man.
They've been eating human flesh, Jaden.
Yeah, true. I guess if they're not getting sick from that, they're not going to get sick from fucking eating each other's vomit. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jane, you'll never really know unless you're in the situation.
I think I'll always know to fucking drink upstream from where my mates fucking throwing up.
Well, it's only speculation.
Animals are smart. Animals know to drink upstream from where they shit from. Like it's like an inbuilt thing in people. Drink fucking where the water's clean. You know, like.
Yeah, but animals do it every day. You know, they're
Experienced.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the fucking forest right now, me and you, Liam, and let's see. You know, I'll take it from the stream, and you take a drink, and we'll see where you can drink from.
Is this after or before I eat Zach's ass?
After,
yeah. I'd love to think like you actually go to the forest. The whole purpose of this like social experiment, and like Fitzy still does it wrong. You know? The whole reason you went there was to prove that he could drink the water from the right spot. Anyway,
yeah.
God, that moment. So anyway, sorry, I was saying the relief. The moment that they were found by that chopper, like the way that was done was like euphoric, you know, like sort of trying to be in their shoes. I sort of honestly, I can't even imagine how they felt to the point where I sort of genuinely think in that moment, like, could you die of relief? You know what I mean? Like for them in that position, genuinely, like die of like you'd actually have a fucking stroke or something.
I feel like it should be possible, shouldn't you? You know, like your body just lets go, like it feels like comfort, like and like it just like lets go of all like the adrenaline and like keeping you alive. Maybe.
Yeah. And it's like if it were to ever happen, I mean, obviously it didn't happen, but you know, like if it were to ever happen, it must be in like a situation like this.
Mm.
You know, I don't know what else could be more strenuous, really.
Well, yeah. Well, is it a burst of adrenaline or is it a release of adrenaline? I think it's a burst of adrenaline, really.
Maybe.
Oh, do you reckon? Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, yeah, about the rescue scenes and stuff. Yeah, I like how I like the montage through the snow and just how you kind of see the glimpses of like, you know, non-snowy areas or like a little bit of green or whatever. And then you just they kind of stumble into the grass like it's a fever dream or something. And then, you know, that scene where they have each person seeing something amazing, like one sees an animal, one sees a human, you know, that was, that was pretty awesome the way they executed that.
Definitely. Because that lizard would have been yummy if there wasn't also a person there.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't try and kill, like, was there birds or something at some point? I feel like there was a bird or something at some point, but
there were birds. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
But
there were birds like flying in shots in this film. Yeah. I don't know how I wouldn't know the first thing about hunting them, but
neither would they. Probably.
Does this did this film make you feel like you should just fuck off to the Blue Mountains for a bit and try it, you know, and like do it like a trial run to see if you could survive, you know? Or like just you can like develop the necessary skills if you do get put in the situation.
No.
I'd like to put you in this situation, Jaden.
Yeah, I'd be keen.
Just to
Yeah.
So you can wander off right away and then die?
Yeah. Go walkabout.
Yeah. I was surprised that Michael Giacchino did the score for this film, actually.
Yeah.
That was interesting for a foreign film. I thought the score was good, for sure. That moment, especially I noticed when that moment they climbed out of the snow was like really triumphant, and it sort of added some hope and playfulness to the music that sort of livened up the film a little bit for a few minutes there that I liked. That was just one standout moment for me.
Yeah, I don't remember the score that much, but I don't know. It serviced the film, I guess. It was good.
It's Michael, so it's probably quality. I don't know. Unless Jaden hated his score for Jurassic World Dominion or some shit. I don't know.
No, Jurassic World scores are always banging.
There you go. Point proven.
I have more history with this director than just Jurassic World.
Yes,
because I've seen The Orphanage, which is a great horror movie that he did. Which going from The Orphanage to Jurassic Dominion and then to this, like he's 1 for 3, which is unfortunate, but Orphanage is quite good. So I did go into this thinking that he did have some ability, you know.
Okay. So with that context in mind, you weren't like more interested in watching the movie because you said you sort of didn't go in with that high expectations.
No, because I just don't like I like survival films aren't for me.
Right? Yeah. So like the director involved didn't even like win you over.
No.
Yeah, I get you. Any standout shots? I thought, like I sort of mentioned earlier, I thought this film, like sprinkled throughout, just had some pretty gorgeous scenery.
I quite liked before they left. I quite liked what we saw in Uruguay. Just them sitting at like this pub, and the colors kind of in that scene, and you know, I think later on as well, like you see in his apartment as well. I just like the way that the sets were dressed there, and I don't know, it felt very, very nice, very true to life to the 70s South American experience.
Yeah, which I know a lot about, but yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know they played rugby in South America, to be honest.
No, yeah, I did. I think they're one of the big ones.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like the French and the Brits in Europe, the South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, the islands here, and then a couple of South American clubs, and that's pretty much it.
Right. Like, see, yeah, I would have thought it was all that, except I didn't really understand. Didn't know South America, to be honest. I sort of just thought it was all football.
No, but what about the Springboks, you know? Oh, wait, that's South African. Fuck, not South American. Fuck. Yes, true.
But like, what others, you know, like, I guess I never thought about it. Like, I guess, so would rugby be their second biggest sport, I guess? Like, what else? Did they play anything else that's a standout that I just don't know about?
Don't know, actually.
I feel like South America in general is like an overlooked continent. Like, probably the most overlooked continent, to be honest.
Not by Coldplay. They fucking do 80 shows every year.
Do they really?
No. They do a fuck ton there, though.
Really? Okay. It's got a lot of fans there. Okay. Andy wrote in a review for Society of the Snow, and he said, I sincerely do not intend to mock the cannibalism aspect of this tragedy, but I think a Uruguayan like Luis Suarez will really love seeing this movie. He was one of the best soccer players in the world. He put soccer in quotes, of course, in the world when he was playing for Barcelona. And he is also a Liverpool legend, a team that Jaden mentioned last episode when he tried to fit in a shitty joke during the Before Sunrise discussion.
Did I? Wait, what was the joke I tried to make?
I don't remember.
Oh,
but,
it was,
yes, I do. Yeah. I do remember. Yep, sorry.
Andy never forgets. But in case some of the Cinema Effect hosts aren't familiar, thank you, Andy. Suarez was known to have bitten 3 people during different matches, so the tragedy probably had a big impact to his career. Anyway, I love the respect that these real-life survivors get, managing to depict their empathy, companionship, and resistance in a subtle way. Interesting how they used a dead man / lead actor to narrate the first hour and a half. It put me off a bit when he passed, since I thought he would survive, but at least it gave a faithful perspective of what he saw and admired in his surviving friends. That is true, actually. Would have loved to have seen this in a cinema, but engaging experience overall, 8 out of 10. And Andy also added, it's not an essay this time. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Andy, you've been on a roll with the reviews so far this year. He's on a streak. You know, three for 3 so far. See if it continues. If they become essays, I don't want them to continue, but so far, so good. Thank you, Andy. All right, let's get to final verdicts for Society of the Snow. Jaden.
I go to 4. It's very, very, very disinteresting to me. I think the first 20 and the last 20 were probably the best moments. For me. And just, I don't know, everything else I throughout, just in regards to didn't care for the character particularly, which is terrible to say when they're real.
Yeah.
And like the situation itself is just not something I'm fond of exploring.
I get you. I'll give it a 7. I sort of half agree with you. I'm obviously with you with the characters. I was also thinking in terms of like how I don't connect with the characters, if the language barrier was involved for me, which it often is, to be honest. But then I was trying to think, like movies that are subtitled that I like, and I couldn't think of any. And then I thought, hang on, is Portrait of a Lady on Fire subtitled?
Don't
It
tell me
is,
you wrote
right?
that shit in English.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
But I wouldn't. But I'm just saying, like, it is, right? It's a foreign film.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you
That's it.
were interpreting
Watch it dubbed.
French. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Anyway, sorry. My point just was that like I didn't even think of it as that. Like I didn't even think of it as like a foreign, like a film I watched subtitled. I sort of forgot that it was. So I guess that's like the standing, the resounding exception for me, I guess. But generally, it sort of is a bit of a barrier for me at times. So that's probably why I struggled to distinguish the characters. But I was, unlike Jaden, interested in a lot of the situations that it raised and thought it did a lot of things really well to depict those hardships. So yeah, no, it's a good movie, I think.
Did you try out the dub?
God, no.
No.
It's like I'm a lot more open to the dub. Like I know for most people it's like a hard no. I'm a lot more open to the idea of it, but every time and I have tried them before, but every time I do, it's just like the lip syncing not matching. And like that's even worse than not understanding the language for me.
True. No, I'll give it a 7 as well. I was engaged. I think that the disaster sequences were pretty awesome. And the movie just kept my attention for a situation that doesn't have a lot of interpersonal drama or kind of any space to go into more depth, I guess. I don't know. It's just a tough situation, tough event to make a movie about, and they did it really well. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I don't know. You weren't sort of hoping that a subplot would show up where it's like someone's got a girlfriend there.
The abominable snowman would come over from Europe, and
wow, that's even crazier than I was going to say.
Yeah.
Have to fight him. Wow. I was gonna say like you add a subplot in where it's like one of them's got a girlfriend but like he thinks then like she's cheating on him with some other dude. You know what I mean? That feels like a Hollywood subplot that you would add. Yeah. They didn't do that shit. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Let me tell you, if we can do it, anyone can. And that's thanks to Zencaster. Like a lot of other podcasts out there, our show is recorded over the web every week. But trying to record a podcast with platforms like Zoom and Discord can be an audio quality disaster. I'm sure you've heard some of the podcasts I'm talking about with long delays, sound cutting in and out. It is not pleasant. Zencaster captures studio quality sound for all of your guests right from your web browser. Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And with Zencaster's all-in-one platform, you can create and distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations all in one place. Go to Zencaster.com/pricing and use our code CinemaEffect to get 30% off your first month of any paid plan. That's Zencaster.com/pricing with promo code CinemaEffect with an E for 30% off today. Feel a sense of Zen with Zencaster. Let's get into news chat. Got one trailer this week that we watched. Fitzy watched a trailer for Ripley, which he will now tell us about.
Yeah. So I've always liked the Hollywood movie with Matt Damon and Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow. It's I think it's still like it's the performance I most like remember. It's the performance I most think of when I think of Matt Damon. I think it's probably his best. But it's just a really solid film, and I've watched it a few times. And so I read the book like a few weeks ago. And there's been a lot of Ripley adaptations. So there was The Talented Mr. Ripley, the Hollywood version. There was Purple Noon, French Alain Delon film, which is also just the first book. And then there's like The American Friend and Ripley's Game, which I think are adaptations of the third book. So there's like 5 in the series. So there's like a shit ton. So I was reading the book and thinking like, they could definitely just extend the first movie and make it a series. And if they wanted to, they could, use the other source material because it's all pretty well received. So I kind of brought this wish into reality, I guess, because now there's like an Andrew Scott version coming to Netflix, in black and white, and it's kind of it's showing this section of the book where he's kind of trolloping around Europe, which you really couldn't have put in the first film, and it's kind of this logistical like cat and mouse game with like different police departments of different European countries, where he's kind of playing this like this transcontinental game of like I don't know, of deception, I guess. And it's really awesome, and it's something that the film went into a little bit, but it really wouldn't have worked if you kind of adapted the book more straightly, I guess, because the way the book works is that you have this part with Ripley and the other characters, which is like a much shorter part in the book, and the rest of it is just dedicated to this kind of big game he plays. So I'm excited to see it in series form. It looks like Andrew Scott. I think it's Andrew Scott. It looks like he understands the character. There's this line in the book where it's like Ripley's looking at himself in the mirror, and Tom Ripley's like a really like self-pitying character. He's really like self-loathing, I guess, and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and he's talking to someone, and he's kind of getting bored of the person, but he's trying to like entertain him as well, and he slowly sees like the edges of his lips like move downwards, and he's kind of in this frown which he can't like escape from, and like there's this single shot in the trailer where he's on the New York subway, and he just looks he looks a lot like how I envisioned the character, just kind of stuck there. So it looks like it's going to be good, and I'm excited for it.
So, I've heard of like that Matt Damon movie. I didn't know anything about these being books. Are these like, so how many books are there? Are they worth reading by themselves?
There's 5 books. I've only read the first one. The Patricia Highsmith, she's like a famous crime writer. She also wrote, I think, Strangers on the Train, which was a Hitchcock movie.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, the first, I want to read the other ones because Tom Ripley is just like a really amazing character. He's just one of the most kind of likable sociopaths, in that I've kind of encountered. So yeah.
So is he? Wait, so is he a killer or a detective or?
Well, that's why I was kind of like dancing around what I was saying, I guess. I don't want to spoil anything for the movie because I think
interesting.
you just watch the movie, the series, I guess. But
shit, okay.
I think the movie is the right place to start. The Anthony Minghella, Hollywood film, yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that on Netflix at some point. Yeah, cool. Okay, now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jaden, what have you been watching, sir?
Let me quickly suss my diary in case I got something better. But I think I know what I'm going to chat.
Trust your instincts, man.
Well, what I want, I can talk about that one after. I finished the Percy Jackson show this week, right?
The show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And that thing's got.
I'm surprised you watched it.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a massive Percy Jackson fan. I only ever read the first book, but I do quite like the movies. They're quite fun. I love the period. I love the cast, and I just like the movies in general. I think they were important to me growing up. So years of having everyone bash on them, having Rick Riordan himself bash on it, and he's like, "Oh, I've never even watched it because they're so shit." And him, saying, and then him like talking up this new series of, "Oh, it's so good, mate. I wrote this one, so it's so good. Yeah, I love this, it's so good." Just to pump out like one of the shittest things I've ever watched. It's not the shittest thing I've ever watched is an exaggeration, but it's one of the worst. It is probably the worst paced thing I've ever seen put to screen. And also like it's just after all the years of him talking shit and then him talking this up, it's just hilariously like bad. Like the writing's awful. The show's story is so weirdly structured around trying to like adapt the first book but incorporate elements from later books apparently, that it just, I don't understand how it's 8 episodes and feels like it doesn't have time for anything when the 2010 movie had time for everything, you know? And it's just the way that they've updated it, like the whole Medusa sequence is just so fucking boring now because they tried to girl boss Medusa and she's like, oh, she's a victim. This whole fucking storyline. And like, it's like the best thing about it is that Lance Reddick rocks up at the end as fucking Zeus, which is unfortunate that this is his final role, I guess.
No one knew that. I assume.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And like it's just consistently boring. It is just consistently very, very boring. The child actors are actually surprisingly fine. Like there's nothing wrong with them, especially considering the script they were given. But like everything else about it is just very bad. It sucks. Production sucks.
I love when you get passionate about it. So,
well, I just think it's mainly because Rick has been tearing down the 2010 film for so long, and for him just to put out this, like, it just makes, like, I don't know. I hope he's humbled, man. Fucking hell.
So is that why you watched it?
Huh?
Because you were talking shit like when the trailers were coming out, so I just assumed you were never interested in watching it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You wanted to see for yourself.
I'm a Percy Jackson fan of the movies, not of the books. You know, like
yeah.
So I guess I watched this because I liked the movies, not because I liked the book.
Okay, and you wanted to like see it for yourself, so you could like from now henceforth in your life like vehemently defend the films.
Yeah,
like even more passionately.
Yeah,
I respect that. Okay, so okay, but like okay, is it doing things like for you compared to the films that make it bad, or is it just not worth your time anymore? Like I don't know anything about any. I've never seen any, so I shouldn't watch this.
No, it's bad. It's bad TV anyway. Like regardless if you're a fan or not, it's bad TV.
Got it.
Like that's bottom line. Oh, it's also really weird because it's made for Disney Plus's ad tier, so like, but which isn't available in Australia. So like the series is just constantly cutting to black as if there's like a TV thing, like a commercial. And I was so confused. I was like, why the fuck would you, as a streaming series, ever edit this in? And then it was only until like episode 6 I was on TikTok and I found out like, no, there's an ad tier in America, and that's why it constantly cuts to black. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And like it makes the structuring so much more weird because obviously like the way you need to build a TV show around a commercial break and without it is different because you need to build to mini climaxes to then relieve.
Yeah.
So like the fact that you're doing that and then just resolving it with no kind of space between is just so weird, man. It's yeah.
Oh, I see. So because like obviously like I'm sure we all have, like we go back and watch old shows on streaming where they do that because they were made for TV, but we just understand that now. So but you're saying but they're obviously still designed that way. But you're saying but like it wasn't even designed well for that. Is that what you mean?
No, yeah.
Like the climaxes and shit, like it just feels like they're sort of just the eggs they have to be. Probably because they didn't write it with that in mind.
It just feels like it cuts. If so the conversation, the conversation technically ends, but it feels like it ends too quickly. It feels like you're always cutting in the middle of a conversation, and then you kind of just cut to the characters in a new location. Which it's not in the middle of a conversation, but it just cuts abruptly, and then it just transitions again, and it's just awkward. It's just such an awkward and just poorly put together thing.
Okay, so this first season was the first, but is the idea that they're going to keep going with more books per season?
Yeah, I guess. Okay. There's like I just learned like there's shit tons of these
of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
because there's like 5 like Percy Jackson, then he did the Roman thing, and then he did the Greek thing, and then he did the Egyptian thing, and then he did like a Norse one, and then he's fucking doing the other archives. Like apparently there's like a shit ton of things in this universe.
Does it look good though? Like, can you see
Not
where
really.
the budget went?
No.
Okay.
No, it like it looks no better. It looks worse even at points than the 2010 film.
Oh, okay.
the creature design is very uninteresting, mostly, and even the underworld is very boring when they get there. And like the gods' true form, we don't even get to see it because like, oh, look away because it'll kill you. So we don't even get to see the gods in the true form. Instead, we just get to see Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. This is now my perfect time to say that I watched Elemental last night finally, and I feel like some mad shit's been talked about this movie. You know, I feel like you thought it was mid too, Fitzy, right? I know Jaden's opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, so being Pixar fanboy number one amongst us, I kind of went in. I didn't go in like high expectations, but I went in thinking, oh, if Liam and Jaden thought this was mid, I'll probably think it's pretty good, kind of thing. I sort of thought I'd be a level above you guys, and no, I wasn't. I was pretty much right there with you. Maybe even less. I don't know. That script was a mess, man. I don't know. That script was like someone writing, like trying to imitate Pixar. It was weird. Like have all these like sentimental life lessons and values and things that the film's about. The film's kind of about four things, and a Pixar film usually just chooses one, but it kind of tries to do all of them in terms of like, you know, relationship with your father and, you know, taking the right life path with like what you want to do with your life and your career. And then like the whole, you know, not discriminating against a romantic partner and like just embracing people for who they are. It's like, these are all decent premises for a Pixar film, but like they just had to pick one, you know, it was anyway. So yeah, there was that. The whole concept was annoying. It was like confusing at times, like the rules of the world. Usually, you know, like you get Pixar movies to take a world, a fantasy world or whatever, like Onward, and it's like, you understand it. It's like our world, but with this twist, right? Or whatever. That's usually sort of what they play with. And this one was just like a whole new original thing again, where it's like someone's trying to create a Pixar concept, but it's like, this was like some DreamWorks shit. You know what I mean? Like,
you mean better than Pixar?
I'm not afraid to. No, as in like definitely worse than Pixar. I don't know what was going on there. Like the whole, I don't know, just the whole elements thing and the people, and but water still exists as well. And I don't know, the rules are weird at times. And then like this whole plot with like the plot of this movie is about there being a sewage problem that the city council couldn't identify, like there being like a broken wall in like a huge part of the city. It was just the weird, like, what the hell is this a thing in this movie? And they sent civilians, these random people, they just like this fire lady who's just there. So they go and solve like the biggest sewage problem that the city's ever seen, causing potential disaster. It's like, why? Why don't you just send like a fucking like crew of experts of like, I don't know, builders, council, like all those people, I don't know, inspectors. Anyway, it's a weird movie. I didn't like it very much. I didn't expect to be. I sort of expected to talk about it very quickly, and then I just got really passionate unexpectedly. I'm like Jaden with Percy Jackson.
I guess it's time for my rant.
Yeah, here you go. Here we go.
What do I have? No, I didn't watch anything new. I rewatched Naked, the Michael Lee film. I think I mentioned it before, but it's a good movie. It's David Thewlis plays this really haggard guy from Manchester, and he goes to London, and he basically just he tirades people with like just nihilistic philosophical like or rants. Basically, he's taking a page from our book, and he just tries to he basically bullies people. I mean, he just tries to like, mentally crush them. And
Damn.
Yeah, it's amazing acting. It's like one of the best performances I've seen. Michael Lee films always have amazing acting in them. They're British like realism, kitchen sink kind of things, but they're not dramatic in that way. They kind of, it's a very meandering film because he kind of meanders around London, and so it feels like the situations are just like an excuse for amazing acting. But yeah, it's an awesome film. So yeah.
One of your favorites. Don't downplay it.
Well, I need to downplay it because, like, if I just gush about it, you'll never watch it. I gotta. be on your list?
Oh no, I'll watch it more if you guys.
I do have a copy of the film.
Really?
Oh really? I was just thinking when you were talking about the actor, you can't go wrong with David, can you?
No, he's amazing. I mean, yeah, but this is like
Guaranteed
the best,
banger.
definitely the best role I've seen him in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guaranteed banger performance. He was just I just watched him in Kingdom of Heaven a few weeks ago. He was killer in that too, of course, as you'd expect. So, of course, his best role was Lupin. Let's be honest, Jaden.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh come on, that was my attempt at a cheap easy Jaden pop, and they got nothing. Oh well.
Yeah, I knew you were fishing, so I didn't buy it.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually
In the
fair.
film,
All
he
right.
actually says,
Too good for me.
"I used to be a werewolf, but I'm all right." No.
Well, in Naked he says
And
that.
naked, yeah.
You just sold me. I'm done, dude. Oh my god, I didn't need anything else. I'm watching.
I mean,
that
the
shit.
character is hilarious in Naked. He's constantly making jokes like that.
Oh, that's great. Wait, is it on a stream or have you got? You would have the Blu-ray, wouldn't you?
It's on YouTube. There's a
The movie. What?
So there's a 360p YouTube version, which I think is what I used to watch. But there is a 1080p. I think it's 1080p version. It has way less views than the other one, but I can send you the link. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, please do. No, that's gone high on the watch list now. After that impression. Now it's time to hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is the best survival film or TV show? Andy said Squid Game, but like in the, offensive text.
In the sarcastic text.
Sarcastic text. I sort of think of it as like autistic text, to be honest. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but anyway.
No.
It's meant to be like sarcasm, like it is like the capitals and uncapitals.
But like when I read it, I think it's like meant to say like Squid Game, like you say it like that.
Yeah, you say it like that, but you mean you do it in a like sarcastic way, not mocking.
Okay, yeah, not mocking any certain demographics. Yeah. My apologies. Anyway, Sykes, not really. Most would probably think movies set in the war zone or apocalypse or situated during a natural disaster would be most associated with survival. But I probably want to venture towards space and go for Ridley Scott's Alien. Okay, all right, that's fair. A film with pure atmosphere and tension. I hope this is not Fitzy's answer. If I had to pick the one that entertained me the most, it'd probably be Saw. Watching two men shackled in a single room trying to stay alive was hilarious. I hope these count. I'm fine with Alien. Jan, do you have any objections to Saw?
I personally wouldn't count either. To me, because then at what point is every horror movie a survival movie? Like to me, a survival movie is like man versus nature.
Man versus nature is your definition.
Yeah,
Interesting. I think that's a fair definition. Okay, I respect that. Yeah. Well, Luke's answer falls into that category. He says, I remember liking 127 Hours. Man versus spoilers.
versus Rock.
Versus Rock. Indeed.
Versus Dwayne.
Sorry?
Versus Dwayne Johnson.
Oh. Yeah, so I was a bit slow on that. I still haven't seen that movie, but
No.
It's got he who cannot be named anymore as the lead actor, right?
Dave Franco.
Dave Franco, yeah. Dave. Yeah, I can say his name. Anyway, Fitzy, do you agree with Jaden's definition? And I assume whether you do or not will determine your answer.
Yeah, I do agree with Jaden's definition, and I have a verified man vs. nature film up my sleeve. My film is The Edge, 1997. It's Anthony Hopkins plays this like billionaire guy, and he's with Alec Baldwin, who's like kind of crushing on his wife a bit, and yeah, they just get stuck out in the wilderness, them and another guy, it's just like the helicopter crashes, and it's just like a plain survival film, pretty much. But it's written by David Mamet, who did like Glenn Ross, and he did House of Games. He did another big one. He's like a big It's a big screenwriter, and he's a playwright as well. So the dialogue in the film is really awesome. But yeah, they basically Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins fight a real bear. You know, it was the bear that was in like all the '90s movies. That was like
Jeremy Allen White.
yeah. But yeah, it's a good film. It's a good film.
I've never heard of it, but I'm just here looking at the poster with Anthony Hopkins has got a beard, and I think that's pretty cool. Personally.
Yeah, there's not much to say about it. It's very solid. It's definitely a very like politically kind of interesting film because the billionaire is the good guy kind of, and it's kind of very conservative, but it's still a great film.
Yeah, this definition's thrown me because I've realised none of my answers fit it. So I've just Googled man versus nature movies. There's actually not that many of them, to be honest. I mean, I've heard of a bunch of these.
So man versus nature or like disaster movies. So I think Andy was right in saying disaster as well, but he didn't name a disaster film. So things like Day After Tomorrow, 2012, you know, fucking Geostorm maybe.
Geostorm. For some reason, the disaster film that always comes to mind for me first. I would need to rewatch it, but like, is that Ewan McGregor, Naomi Watts movie, The Impossible? That always comes to mind.
Isn't that the same director? J.A. Bayona? I was looking up his filmography.
Really?
Actually, yeah, it might be. Yeah, I think I might have seen that on yeah.
Nice unintentional connection there. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I've seen it, but I've seen Everest. I've seen Into the Wild. I don't really hold those films in that high of regard, you know.
Into the Wild.
So
that was kind of self-inflicted. That was. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it was. I mean, I guess self-inflicted doesn't have to be part of the.
Sorry.
Oh, part of the definition. You know, it can be self-inflicted.
I'm sorry, Jaden. Did I break your ears?
Yeah, shit myself. I thought my fucking like speakers blew up. I was like in like the headphone speakers. Because sometimes I do hear that pop and like it like fucking shocks me a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but hunger is self-inflicted, Fitzy. Is that not a survival film?
I would never call that a survival film.
Okay, all right.
No.
But surely, okay, The Pianist is surely a survival film.
Yeah.
Right, that's not man versus nature. That's man versus man.
Yeah. But he's in nature. He's got to survive in nature. Well, not nature, but
well, we're all in fucking nature.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got to survive alone, and you know that kind of thing. I don't know. He's got to get resources.
The whole thing is the whole movie is, can he survive? I feel like
yeah,
that's all you need right there. So yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, I'll probably go with
Terminator. Does that make the Terminator a survival film?
See, this is.
That's the thing, because in the Terminator they have access to like resources, you know, like in The Pianist it's like he has to steal shit and, you know, kind of get by however he can. He has to food seeking is desperate enough, but not in. I'm pretty sure in the Terminator, one of the characters goes to the convenience store and then they're up in the hotel, you know. So it's like you can't really call that survival. I mean, they're running away from Arnold, but apart from that, everything's pretty chill.
Apart from that, yeah. Okay, so I guess by that discussion, Alien is sort of disqualified. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because they have food rations and stuff.
I think Alien is more of a survival film than what Terminator is.
Oh yeah, totally. But they're both not survival.
But why? Because they don't have a convenience store in Alien?
No, because like
I agree with you, by the way. I'm just trying to figure out why.
Well, I think it still comes under the man versus nature branch in that the alien's biological.
Okay, it's not like a weapon.
It is a weapon, though.
It is a weapon. Yeah, you're right. It's bred for. Yeah, it is designed.
Yeah.
I think maybe setting has part to do with it in my eyes as well, like isolation. Because
Isolation.
because Terminator is just downtown fucking LA or wherever they are. Whereas, I think isolation might play a key part in survival.
Oh, that's a good point. What about you, Jen?
My favorite is probably The Martian.
Oh yeah.
I love the book so much, but I also do like the film a lot as well. I think it's very funny. Which Matt Damon apparently doesn't, because he didn't. When he got his Golden Globe for comedy, it was a bit surprised. But no, it's a funny story. It's a great story. It's one that I do like to revisit. Banging cast, cool setting, cool premise. I don't know, all-time performance.
What's that? Do you know in the book Project Hail Mary? Have you heard of that?
Is that?
It's by the same author, Andy Weir's his name, right?
Did he do a Project Artemis, or is that something else as well?
I don't know what that is, but
probably he's pretty prolific. He's done a bunch of sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. I've just heard that book's good. It's on my list.
Yeah, I think I've heard it, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Okay. As always, we'd love you to submit your responses, thoughts, and or reviews for next week's film in the YouTube or Instagram comment section, or join the Discord server this week. The specific question we'll be asking you is, we put a lot of thought into this one, so no hate. Would you be okay with an AI as your child's school teacher? Any second thoughts there, Jaden?
That's what you guys.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting question. So let us know. Hopefully we'll start a debate. Next week's, I am certain, as Jaden already started to try and start a debate earlier, that there are going to be debates next week, which are going to be fun. So that's what we're going to do. But, Fitzy, what am I talking about? Why is there going to be a debate next week?
Why are you talking about AI?
Yeah.
Because next week we're doing The Creator, which is it was a film from last year. It had John David Washington. It's about this guy, and I don't really know the premise exactly, but they need to hunt down the creator of advanced AI, the architect, and the AI is this kid. So it's would you kill baby Hitler? Would you kill a kid that's a robot? Would you? It brings up some moral quandaries, doesn't it?
We don't even have to watch the movie now.
But yeah, I haven't seen this film. Jane hasn't seen this film, but Zach has.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I want to rewatch it, so I'm excited for that. And that's on, what's it on?
Disney Plus. Yes.
There you go. Check it out. Okay. We appreciate everyone tuning in. I appreciate, as always, Liam and Janet for joining me. Have a great rest of your week, and goodbye. And let me know in the comments if Jaden was too loud in this episode.